The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's November the 17th, 2025. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined this morning by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, the news of the weekend, just the news, which is good news. The Miami Hurricanes showed up in their best form on Saturday at Hard Rock Stadium, totally dismantling a North Carolina State team that looked to me like it may have had a little bit of a letdown off of its big victory over Georgia Tech, but was absolutely overwhelmed by really the greatness of the Hurricane defense, which I thought was off the charts. I mean, this was one of the better offenses in the ACC. They couldn't get past midfield until Miami put its second and third teamers in the game. Just the most as amazing as of a defensive performance as you will see. And then the offense has morphed into an exciting, fun, non-predictable machine over the last 6 quarters, really. And very impressed with what Shannon Dawson is doing there. A lot of people are a little hesitant to heap all kinds of crazy praise on Shannon Dawson. But I caution everybody, like, we don't know everything that was going on behind closed doors throughout the season. And there just might have been a miscalculation made about, the running game and what was the best way to attack running the football this season. You had Mark Fletcher coming back, and, obviously he's a really good power back. You knew you had a really good offensive line. What you didn't know is that opponents would have success scheming against that defensive line and would, as the season went forward, start minimizing your inside run game. And that accentuated the fact that you weren't going outside enough. And quite frankly, Jordan Lyle has not been the same this year and came back from injury, and you had no way to predict that he would be as ineffective as he was. And Pringle, who maybe they should have known, and, we'll talk about this in a little bit, Matt, maybe they should have known the level of contribution that he could make to this team earlier in the season, but he was spending the bulk of his time over on scout team. So, man, a lot to unwrap, Matt Shodell. But the bottom line is the Canes did win impressively, and we're waiting with bated breath to see what the college football playoff committee thought about that and whether they want to start bringing the rankings a little bit closer, as I believe they should be. If you're going to rank Notre Dame 8th or, whatever the hell they are now, and they lost to Miami and then they lost to Texas A&M, the 2 best teams they played this year, quite frankly. And you're going to put Miami, albeit with not as good of losses as Notre Dame, but they did beat Notre Dame. And if you watch the game, it really wasn't anywhere near as close as the score. It was another one of those games where Miami just didn't maximize itself on offense and left them in the game a little bit more than you would like. But the Canes won, and there shouldn't be this great disparity in the rankings. So we'll talk about rankings also, but let's start with your general thoughts on the goings-on of the weekend with Miami and NC State.
Oh, well, your mouth stopped moving. Okay, so I have you on mute every time you do your opening. I don't need to hear all this junk.
It was only 3 minutes, and I'll give you the next. I'll gladly give you the next 10. So go ahead.
All right. Anyway, so I assume you were talking about the NC State game. This was probably one of the most disappointing games I've seen in years for Miami because why the hell weren't we doing this all year? Why couldn't we look like this all season? I don't understand. They started strong. They looked terrible. And now they look like the best team in the country. I can't wrap my head around it. NC State's not a bad team. NC State's actually a decent, a good offense. They're a good offense and a terrible pass defense, but it's not a terrible run defense. And Miami just, smacked them in the mouth in every which way that you want to talk about. This was probably the most complete game I've seen Miami play against a not terrible team, like the Syracuses of the world, right? And last year, like every year, there's a couple of teams that are just awful. NC State's not one of those. And I can't remember the last time Miami played a game like this against a team that wasn't awful and just dominated from start to finish. Like there was no slow start. There was no slow moments. this is what championship football looks like, but it has to be consistent. And so, it just makes you wonder why. Why is it not always like this? And there's no answer. There's no answer for that. I don't know if fans. I think fans have mixed emotions from this game because they're happy that Miami looks so amazing, but it's like, why is it coming too late? Because really what happened, and people are, Miami fans are up in arms, and a lot of national people are up in arms about the CFP rankings and why isn't Miami, at least close or ahead of Notre Dame? Why didn't maybe Alabama? Why aren't they going to fall behind Miami, which it seems like they're not based on the polls that came out yesterday? And Miami's going to maybe move up to 14th, it seems like, on Tuesday night, which makes it really hard in 2 weeks' time to move up into the top 10 or top 9, depending what happens if like BYU wins its conference or like that. You have to be in the top 9. Wins the conference title I'm talking about. So, and I'm trying to give people answers. And, yesterday I posted, maybe it's because they're looking at losses more than wins, right? Miami beat Notre Dame, for instance, right? But Notre Dame's 2 losses came to 2 top 15 teams, Miami and Texas A&M. Utah's ahead of Miami, right? But Utah's 2 losses came to top 15 teams. Maybe they're looking at that more than the quality of wins. But then it occurred to me, probably what's just more likely. This is just probably the most likely, honest answer that I think this morning as I slept that overnight. Your brain works. I don't know if people's brains work when they're sleeping. My brain actually works better when I'm sleeping than when I'm awake. I'm not even kidding. Like I wake up and I have ideas for stories and I start just writing them down. And I woke up this morning and it struck me that the first CFP ranking came out right after Miami lost 2 out of 3 games. So how could the CFP put Miami ahead of teams that have been playing much better football, right? Miami looked awful losing to SMU and Louisville. Looked terrible. Carson Beck completed more passes to the other team than to his own teammates. I'm exaggerating, but you get the point, right? 4 interceptions, 3 interceptions, whatever. It was terrible. So I understand why they ranked them there initially. And now what fans are mad about is, well, now that they're playing great, why aren't they moved up? And I sort of this morning understand the CFP perspective is, well, Utah's still winning, right? They just blew out Baylor or somebody, right? They're still winning games. They haven't lost a game. Alabama was 4th. Can you move them to 15th? That's just not what you do. Even the AP didn't do that, or college or the coaches poll, whatever. Like that's just not what happens in polls. And Notre Dame they lost their first 2 games and they've been cruising ever since, right? So it's this, what have you done for me lately? We're like that as a country, right? What have you done for me lately? We're like that as fans. What have you done for me lately? And now Miami fans are like, who cares about what have you done for me lately? We have 2 losses. Notre Dame has 2 losses. We beat them. Why are we not ahead of them? Which makes sense. But when you think about the timing of it and how the CFP, when they put Miami 18th in their first poll because Miami had lost 2 out of 3, now if you shoot them ahead of Utah and shoot them ahead of Notre Dame, if you're a Utah fan and I'm not, if I'm a Notre Dame fan and I'm not, right?
You're annoyed.
You're like, what? We're still killing everybody. We're ahead of this team. We were ahead of them. Why would you change your mind? So now what does the CFP tell those people? Well, we can't really explain it. Like, how would you explain it to Utah fans or to Notre Dame fans right now? I don't know. I don't.
How do you explain screwing Miami out of the last spot 2 years in a row?
Right, but the CFP
2 years in a row, they're going to do the same thing.
The CFP screwed up the initial poll by doing a "What have you done for me lately" scenario, and Miami fans agreed with that first poll. By the way, they said, "Yeah, 18th. That's about right. We suck." But now that we don't suck anymore, now we're like, wait a minute. We didn't suck when we were 18th. You screwed up. And it's like a revisionist history. And so I sort of understand. I know Miami fans are pissed at the CFP, and I understand why, but I understand what the CFP did and why they won't change it. They wouldn't change it last year for a 3-loss Alabama. Gary kept saying to me every week, he'd say, they're going to move Miami up over a 3-loss Alabama by the end of the year. Don't worry about it. It's going to happen. I kept saying it's not. If Alabama keeps winning and Miami keeps winning, they're not going to do it. And they didn't. And the same damn thing's going to happen this year because these are stubborn people who go by their first poll and don't understand that they put Miami 18th in that first poll simply because Miami had not lost their first 2 games, like Notre Dame, but had lost 2 of the last 3 heading into the initial ranking.
Yeah, they lost
which killed Miami. It was terrible timing for those losses. That's what I think, as of this morning, which just literally hit me overnight, that's what happened. The CFP people screwed up, and now they're stuck. It's like
they're stuck unless they fix it this week.
It's like the CFP put a tariff on coffee beans and didn't realize that my Starbucks matcha latte, well, it doesn't have coffee, but whatever, is going up 20% because they put a tax on a country where we don't make it here. Like, they screwed up in the beginning. They did something they shouldn't have, and now they won't correct it. Unlike, I guess we're taking the tariffs off, so we're correcting it, but they're not going to correct it, and it's frustrating.
They have an opportunity to start correcting it.
It's even more frustrating and annoying when you see Miami play that well and really start to come together, and they're going to blow out, obviously, Virginia Tech. I mean, it's going to be an obliteration. That team, one of their top one of their top receivers just left the team last week before the game. He's like, I'm not going to play anymore. And he just left. They haven't even said he's going in the portal. He's just gone. Their number 2 leading receiver just walked off of the Blacksburg campus, never to be seen again. Okay, that's how bad that program is with no coach. And then you're playing a Pittsburgh team that just lost their star multi-purpose running back probably for the season. I mean, it looked like a pretty bad injury, although they haven't announced it yet. Their freshman quarterback looked terrible against Notre Dame, but Notre Dame just killed Pittsburgh. So if Miami kills Pittsburgh, again, how do you have a justification for we belong where Notre Dame does? I know why, right? We beat Notre Dame, but the CFP at that point isn't going to do it. These are stubborn-ass people who did a bad first poll that we all agreed with when they were 18th in that first poll. We're like, yeah, that's where they belong. And now
I don't think anybody agreed or disagreed. I think everyone was so pissed they didn't care.
No, people were like, yeah, 18th. I agreed. 18th was where they belonged at that point.
Yeah, but your national pundits immediately said that Notre Dame did not belong ahead of Miami. Many of them.
Not in that first poll. No one was talking about that in the first poll.
They were.
No, that happened the next poll. No, that first ranking, nobody was even talking about Miami, remember? Miami was 18th. They weren't even in the conversation.
I felt like it was immediate. It was so obvious immediate that it was ridiculous,
No, I think that first one, I want to say Notre Dame was 11th and Miami was 18th. And I think the question was raised. The question was raised, this was what was asked. I mean, I remember. They were asked, if Miami at Notre Dame, how does that head-to-head factor in to the rankings? And they said if they were really close together, it would factor in, but they're not. It's not going to factor in, is what they said.
Not because of you guys.
But that's what they said at that time. They were asked about it, you're right. But they weren't asked in the sense that, hey, Miami should be 8th or Miami should be 11th. That's not what they were asking. They were asking, how does that head-to-head factor in? And the answer was it doesn't. It doesn't. So, because they're too far apart. Now, if Notre Dame stays where it is and doesn't move up, and the 5 teams behind Notre Dame all lose, and Miami moves up right behind Notre Dame, then you got a question you can ask, right? Now they're back to back, and that would be amazing. But good luck having that happen. I mean, this it's just not an ideal situation. So many things have to happen and go right now in these last 2 weeks, and they can happen. Don't get me wrong. There's scenarios for them to still be in the ACC title game, which they would have to win, which they should. I mean, the ACC sucks. And then the other scenario is they could still be an at-large team. They just need like 4 teams to lose in the next 2 weeks, who are all really good teams, So it's possible, but it's definitely not likely. Like, anyone who's posting, if you guys are on message boards reading, if Miami wins out by a lot of points, they're going to be in, those people are lying to you. Stop watching those podcasts or reading that message board or block that poster. That's not true. It's clearly mathematically well below a 50-50 chance for even combining both chances of happening. It's well below 50%. Now, could you put it at maybe 25% that one or the other could happen? I could maybe put it at that. Okay, but that's probably about where it would be, because if any number of certain things don't happen, it's over for the ACC, right? If Louisville loses to SMU, it's over. The ACC is over. If I take it back. Virginia's not going to lose to Virginia Tech. I'm assuming Virginia doesn't lose to a really awful Virginia Tech team. Okay, so in that sense, that would be over then, right? And the same thing with Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech would have to lose to Pittsburgh, right? Who now just lost their top running back, their multi-purpose running back. Their quarterback, who's a true freshman, looked just really bad. I watched the whole game. He just looked bad. And now Notre Dame has a good defense, but we'll see, I guess, how he responds. But he's a true freshman. I think he's played 6-7 games. I mean, not a great sign for Pittsburgh that he was that bad. And Georgia Tech can score some points. So, I mean, I'm not sure. I think I tried to look at some of the early lines. I think Georgia Tech was favored by 3 against Pitt, is what I saw. And SMU was favored by a little bit when I looked at it. So I mean, these are not games that they both have to go the opposite side of the betting line. In other words, Notre Dame's a 35-point favorite against Syracuse. Vanderbilt's favored. Utah's favored from what I saw yesterday. I mean, I'll have to look again because I know the lines changed, but it's just not great. It's not shaping up great. Now, is there still hope? Yes. Like I said, 25%, but I don't want to get people's hopes up. People post on message boards that are Miami fans, and they're like, if we win out, there's a great chance we'll be in. And I just don't want to sit here and be a sunshine pumper like other people and make everyone happy and be like, yeah, there's a pretty good chance. Like, there's just not. Like, it's
we'll
just
know
math.
A lot more Tuesday.
People get mad at me, and I'm like, it's just math. If Miami's behind Alabama on Tuesday, if Miami's still behind Vanderbilt on Tuesday, if Miami's still behind Utah on Tuesday, it isn't looking great. Okay, you need a lot of help to get into the top.
They have a chance to drop Alabama appropriately. We'll see what they do.
AP didn't even come close to dropping them below Miami.
Yeah, but the committee is supposed to be operating autonomously.
They are. That's true.
All right, I just let you go for about 13 minutes. All right, so yeah. You did.
Wow.
You went for about 13 minutes.
True.
I only let it happen because I know how much it means to your fan club to hear you. So,
yeah. By the way, you interrupted me a couple of times, or tried to. I can't even hear what you're saying. You interrupted me. So don't say you let me go. Don't just lie and say I let you go for 13 minutes. You tried to interrupt. I just didn't let you.
Half-second snippets, but I was taking notes here furiously. So I got a ton I want to talk to you about. But let me take a moment right now and talk about Modelo, because Modelo has taken over college football. Okay, they are everywhere. You see them in the games during timeouts at the stadium on the video board. You go to your concession stands, you see Modelo. Modelo signage on the fields, at the basketball game the other night. Modelo at half court. Modelo is college football. Let's just concede college football to Modelo, and the football season has been in force. And Canes fans, that means that you, like everybody else out there, deserve a Modelo. So reward your full-time fandom with an ice cold one. Modelo is the official sponsor of the college football playoff, where the Hurricanes are still very much hoping to be here in a few weeks. The Modelo recruiter has been in action the entire season, looking to reward full-time fans just like you that give your all to your team. So if you're listening to this, that means you've been recruited too, and it's time for an ice-cold reward in the form of a Modelo, because some things in life are just made for each other. Peanut butter and jelly, Matt Shodell and Good Morning CaneSport, macaroni and cheese, and Modelo and college football. And you live and breathe football, and that makes you a full-time fan. So you deserve a Modelo. So make sure you go get yourself one today. No more home games. You got to go to your grocery store. But go grab a Modelo and stay game day ready all season long. All right. So let's point out, you were trying to quantify NC State. Okay. And a great team, though. They've had their ups and downs this season, but they were playing their best football coming into this game. They beat Georgia Tech, which looks like it's going to go to the ACC championship game, which looks like it has a great shot to go to the college football playoff, by 12 points. Okay. So this is not a chump NC State team. Okay. They also had an off week to prepare for Miami. All right. They had the top rusher in the conference, a guy by the name of Hollywood. What?
Hollywood.
Yeah, Hollywood. Yeah, Hollywood Smothers. Okay, he only carried the ball 7 times in this game for 6 yards. Okay, he netted -2 yards or minus 0.3 yards a carry. This is the leading rusher in the ACC. Okay, this guy didn't suddenly get bad. Okay, Miami's defense just swallowed him up. Okay, that's how well they were playing. Let's talk about CJ Bailey coming into this game. All I'm hearing all over the place. Oh, CJ Bailey's going to be Miami's quarterback next year. Oh, CJ Bailey's making $2 million to play quarterback for NC State. CJ Bailey. Miami screwed up when they didn't take CJ Bailey. Okay. Is there one of you out there this morning that wants Miami to go get CJ Bailey in the transfer portal and bring him to the U to be the quarterback for next year? Are you kidding me? No, and that's thanks to the Miami defense, which may have saved, we don't know this, but may have saved Miami and maybe some other schools from making a very expensive mistake and believing that he might be better than what he was. He looked horrendous against the Miami defense. He only had 120 yards passing. Okay, so that's how good Miami's defense was playing Saturday at the Rock. All right. Now I want to shift gears a little bit here to offense. And Matt, I want you to weigh in on this. First, I want to talk about our buddy Gerard Pringle, who, he went from oblivion to a couple carries against Syracuse. And now it was Gerard Pringle on steroids, man. I mean, he got 17 carries in the game on Saturday for 116 yards. He averaged 6.8 yards a carry. They also threw the ball to him 3 times. And Malachi Toney had a chance to make it 4 and overthrew the pass. So that might have been another big gainer. Gerard Pringle became the focal point, Matt, of Miami's offense here in game, what were we in, game 10? And it's just amazing. I mean, he's done nothing the entire season. And, now the whole attack was started with him on Saturday. Your thoughts on that front? And don't talk for 13 minutes, please.
I want to talk for 1 minute. He look, somebody posted on the board how dumb the coaches are. They didn't realize Gerard Pringle was available. Like, they've seen him play, they recruited him. How do they not know how great he is? To which I understand where that sentiment comes from, but it's misplaced. He there's more to a running back than just having the ball in your hands and running. You have to be able to pass protect, which he's clearly not good at. Now, should they have worked him in for 5 to 10 touches a game leading up to this? Probably, But remember, you had Mark Fletcher coming into the season. You knew Mark Fletcher was a great running back. So why would you need Gerard Pringle, right? You brought in Marty Brown, who was insanely good at North Dakota State.
He was playing well.
Yeah, who played really well early in the season. You have Jordan Lyle, who started game 1, who looked like the next young Frank Gore coming into the season. So why would coaches be like, oh, let's go check out this freshman running back who's on scout team and see if he can help us? It made no sense. So, yeah, fans can rewrite history and be like, how do they not know from the beginning of the season they needed Gerard Pringle? They didn't. Now that Mark Fletcher's hurt, he got his chance and he excelled. And kudos to coaches. I think what did Mario use the term saying it would have been, he didn't say negligence, but like, he was
unprofessional. It would have been unprofessional.
Yeah. Unprofessional not to start.
That was an awesome line. I love that line.
That was great. It would have been unprofessional, not professional. And listen, we knew Gerard Pringle was really good. Like, we saw him in spring ball. We said in the spring game, like, this guy's going to be special. But they didn't need him this year. They had star running back power with Jordan Lyle, who's been a massive disappointment. But if they had played Gerard Pringle instead of Jordan Lyle, what would fans be saying? They'd be like, if Jordan Lyle had been playing, he'd be one of the top backs in the country, right? I mean, you can say second guessing is what we do. That's what fans do. That's what reporters do also sometimes, who are very bad reporters like myself, who don't enjoy facts and just like to make stuff up. But like, there was no reason to play Gerard Pringle until recently when Fletcher was hurt and Jordan Lyle clearly is not mentally ready to be playing in games again right now. So kudos to Gerard Pringle. Like, this running back room is outstanding. We knew it was. Next man up, and he was next man up, and he performed really, really well. I mean, we're doing a film study this morning on him. You can look at it. The patience, the vision, upperclassman level. Pass blocking, freshman level. Ball in his hands, explosiveness, everything you want. He looks like a Louisville running back. He looks like an NC State running back. Like, he doesn't look like a Miami Mario Cristobal running back, right? And Pro Football Focus, I think, said that somewhere around 70% plus of his runs were outside of the guards, because he can do that. He's fast.
He can get out there. Yes.
They did stretch zone runs where he just pick his hole and bam, he's gone. His footwork is impeccable. You could see
there were times, not to interrupt you, Matt, but there were times, and I'm going to say this real quick, that I'm watching and I thought it was exactly the same as watching Malachi Toney run with the ball, and the footwork absolutely very similar.
Yeah, and his 0 to 60, the way he takes, he controls his steps, which makes him very hard to tackle because he can take very fast, big strides and then immediately turn into these stutter step, change of direction moves, or stutter steps where he can jump out of a tackle, a tackle attempt at his ankles, right, or lower body, where he can stutter step and then break through it. Lowered his shoulder a couple of times and was able to, he's not going to shove anyone backwards, but showed at least he's willing to be physical or try to be physical. 190 pounds, he's not nothing. But yeah, this guy, it's going to be, what's most interesting to me is what's going to happen in January, because I can't imagine Jordan Lyle, Mark Fletcher, Marty Brown, and Jordan Pringle all coming back to the same team. They're too good. They're all too good. And if you're Miami, you cannot let Jordan Pringle go, and Mark Fletcher's not going to leave. So I'm very curious. I'm keeping my eyes on Jordan Lyle because they need that guy. That guy, I'm telling you, he is an All-American in waiting once he gets his stuff together. I mean, ridiculous physical tools. You cannot lose that guy. And it'll be weird to say to Marty Brown, like, okay, he's going to be the number 4 back next year. Like, I'm sorry. I'm saying it right now. They bought him in for this year, and that's great. And he looked good. He's not the fastest guy, but power. He's got enough of everything to be really, really good at this level. But on this roster, he's the 4th most talented running back, which shows you how good this running back room is. And if I got to pick the number 4 back who's going to leave next year, and I'm the coach, I'm picking Marty Brown. I'm keeping Jordan Lyle. I'm sorry. Like, that's just what I do.
Yeah, I'm keeping Jordan Lyle too. Way too early in the game to give up on Jordan Lyle just because he didn't make it back in top form for this year.
And again, I'd be surprised if all 4 come back. It's a weird thing. There's just too many running backs for the ball.
Yeah, and look, people are going to come after somebody. I mean, somebody's going to come after Jordan Lyle. Probably. I mean, I'm just guessing. I mean, I think they'll do what they got to do to lock in Pringle now or whatever. But people are going to start looking to work back channels and start raiding this crowded Miami running back room, I'm sure. But yeah, so the coaches take the heat for the whole thing because everyone looks at this Pringle guy playing so great here in week 10 and they're saying, well, where's he been all year? But these football seasons are like wild beasts, man. Like, they take on different lives at different times. And I just think that Miami's offense / coaches just got trapped. They fell into a trap because they were winning early in the year. But when we reflect back on it, there were warning signals every step of the way. I mean, being so massively better than Notre Dame. Do you hear that, college football committee? Yeah, the Canes were massively better than Notre Dame on opening night. Maybe you should go watch the game. But when you look at the score and you see a 3-point victory, it doesn't look that way. And, the reason was because the offense wasn't scoring. It wasn't putting people away. It wasn't scoring enough points. And it should have been flashing warning signals from the get-go. Against Florida, same thing. Against, Florida State, same thing. Like, the warning flag should have been up like crazy. You get outgained in the 4th quarter in Tallahassee, 175-15 by one of the worst teams in the ACC. Like, man, it's like that was warning signals smacking everybody in the face. But you're number 2 in the country. You're euphoric. You beat Notre Dame. You beat Florida. You won the state championship. And that's all everybody was focused on. And it was a trap bigger than the frickin' massive cages that Matt Shodell lays on the bottom of Biscayne Bay so he can abuse as many stone crabs as possible every time he goes out there.
Wow.
He goes out there on a little dinghy and he literally molests poor crabs in the ocean. Well, that's how big this trap was that the Miami Hurricanes offense fell into. And Shannon Dawson and Mario are right there in it. And, then you get caught against Louisville. You don't score enough. You get caught against SMU. You don't score enough. Now it's like, hey, man, we're not making big plays. We're not scoring enough points. We're getting in way too many third downs. We're station to station. We're predictable. People are scheming us up. Now you have a crisis on your hands that derails your season because you didn't catch, you weren't prepared for it and you didn't catch it quick enough. And now we're sitting here at the tail end of the season, trying to beg an ignorant college football playoff committee to actually pay attention to what happened in the games and take note that Miami actually beat Notre Dame pretty soundly, number one. And number two, Alabama lost to Florida State, which Miami also beat pretty soundly until it gave up 19 points in the fourth quarter, and it looked a little bit different on the score sheet. But like, I don't see how, if you're paying any attention to the season, that you could put, Alabama or Notre Dame ahead of Miami, even with those two sorry losses in the middle of the season. Anyway, Pringle is doing great. He's getting a lot of opportunities. 17 to me is a lot. He's a true freshman. He's not that totally physically developed yet. I don't, you're going to want him here now down the stretch. And, but if he could get, 12, 13, 14 carries every game, and I'm assuming Fletcher will be back at some point. I thought he was going to be back this week, but I don't know. I guess he had a setback of some type. I don't know. But, Lyle's still there. Don't put him on mothballs. And, Marty Brown is having a good season. So, that's what happened. And, Shannon Dawson and Mario, look a little foolish right now because the guy didn't contribute the entire season. I mean, like Matt said, we saw that he was good in spring and fall practice. I mean, he was always capable of doing what he's doing now. And it might have been the element that the Miami offense needed to get some more big plays, because there have not been many big plays in the running game this season. We're not seeing 80-yard runs, 70-yard runs for touchdowns, like you would think that we would with this offensive line. And I know the EMAC over there on the message boards right now he's already typing, saying, because the offensive line isn't as good as all you guys say it is. Offensive line is pretty good. But when you're doing the same thing over and over again, and people are preparing for it all week, and they're putting numbers into your running gaps where you like to run the ball, and you don't change, then that's what's going to happen. Now we're seeing change, something distinctly different with Pringle, and it's working in a big time way. So that's the deal with Pringle. Now, Matt, I want to shift gears to Carson Beck. I thought he was spectacular on Saturday. He was in a rhythm. He was delivering the ball right on the money, had good pace. And he commented a little bit in the post game. He didn't come out and say I wasn't really 100% the whole year, but he seemed to suggest that now at this stage of the season, that he's 10 games in, that he's ready to put the best model of himself out there. Now, that doesn't excuse the absolute atrocious decisions that he made in the Louisville game, which quite honestly really screwed that game up a lot. But he talked about how good he's feeling now, and how that probably contributed a little bit to how he looked out there on the field. Now, when I talk to NFL people, they're looking at Carson Beck as like a 4th or 5th round guy right now. I thought on Saturday that he played better than a 4th or 5th round guy. He looked like a guy that could be certainly a backup quarterback on an NFL team. Your thoughts on what Carson Beck showed us on Saturday?
I mean, look, he was playing the worst pass defense in college football, so there's that.
Yeah, I'm not judging it, though. I'm judging just how he looked, how he was delivering.
Yeah, I understand. So that's the thing, right? So I was talking to actually a Miami booster yesterday, and he asked what I thought of the game. I said, it doesn't matter they were playing a bad team or a team that seemed to not even care what happened in the game. You can tell how your team's playing just by how they perform and just watching what they do, And yeah, Carson Beck looked great. Carson Beck, the issue with Carson Beck isn't that he doesn't have elite NFL talent. The issue with Carson Beck isn't that he can't help a team win a national title. The issue with Carson Beck is he is streaky. He'll have games where he just implodes, gets in a funk, whatever you want to call it, and is awful and costs you a game or two. This is why Georgia fans were getting rid of him. This is what we talked about a month ago, 3 weeks ago. We were talking about this. Georgia fans were like, we told you so. Now he has a great game or two, and we're like, oh, he's amazing. Like, that's not how I function. I still remember what happened. I'm not the what have you done for me lately guy. Carson Beck is streaky. When he faces a good defense that hits him a couple of times, makes him uncomfortable a couple of times, he tends to have issues and get frustrated and throw the ball in harm's way. Pittsburgh's the next time that might happen, right? The last 2 games were against 2 awful teams that didn't even want to be there and that have terrible defenses. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, okay, everything's fixed with Carson Beck because he crushed Syracuse and he crushed NC State. Like, that's not what I sit up here and do. Now, did he play great? Yes. Did he do what he was supposed to do? Did he make great throws? Was he accurate? Was he poised? Yes. He was fantastic. But we've seen now a pretty full body of his work from Georgia last year and at Miami this year, and you can clearly see a pattern of inconsistency from game to game where he'll look amazing for 3 or 4 games in a row like last year at Georgia, and he'll look terrible for 3 games in a row like last year at Georgia and this year at Miami, right? It's the same thing that happened with Georgia last year is here, and that's why we lost a couple of games. I mean, we know that's a massive reason why we lost 2 of the games that are now going to cost us the playoffs. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, he's amazing and he's great and he's the best. He has consistency problems that he needs to have figured out, and it's there's only 2 games left in the season, and like it is what it is. It is what it is. I like the guy. I think he has a tremendous ceiling, great talent. I do agree. I think mid-round draft pick sounds about right for what he's done and is doing. And Pittsburgh will be a challenge, where he struggles. And he said it after the game. And by the way, I confirmed he was not injured. I spoke to somebody who would know. He was never injured this season to the point where it was like, could he play? Was he even going to be probable? Like, he was always fine. He didn't miss practices. He was always fine all year. He was asked after the game, how do you feel being fully healthy? And that's the only reason he talked about it. Gary made it sound like he brought it up, like, oh, I'm finally healthy. That's not what happened.
He brought it up. Nobody else brought it up. He brought it up.
Tim Reynolds asked him about being healthy and about his process of recovering from this massive injury and He was asked. He didn't just bring it up out of nowhere, Gary. Anyway,
then he gave us too much information.
Well, whatever. I mean,
he went on and on about it for a while.
He did, yeah, but he was answering a question. But he's been fine. I'm telling you, he's been fine. I talked to somebody who would know. He's been fine. There have been no issues with him injury-wise. Okay, it's not like he was injured and now all of a sudden for this game he was fine and that's why he played so great. That is not accurate.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
That is not accurate. I know that for a fact. That is not accurate. Okay. So anyway, so look, when he has struggled, and he did point this out, is when the run game doesn't help him. When the run game is doing really well, it makes his job really easy. And he did say that. And every quarterback will tell you that. I mean, it's a truth. The great quarterbacks are the ones who overcome it when another team stops the run game and is getting pressure on you. Those are the great quarterbacks. Those are the difference makers, right? The guy who can lead you back on a last-minute drive when they know you're throwing every single play and they're throwing everything at you that they have, and you're still able to throw that pass in the end zone like Mendoza did. And yeah, they made a great catch, but like you still get the play done. You make the play, you get the win, you move on to the playoffs. And that's what he hasn't really shown us much at Miami yet, because the games Miami's won, they've been able to run the ball to some extent effectively. I would not say that Carson Beck has taken the team on his shoulders in a single game all year and won by himself, right? Last year, we'd point to Cam Ward game after game that he put the team on his shoulders almost every win because the defense was so bad, and he would win those games. This year with a much better defense, and by the way, the defense, I mean, we were talking about it before the season. I said, I think Miami could be a top 10 defense, top 15. Right now, they're the number 9 defense in the country, number 3 rush defense, number 7 scoring defense. I mean, they are off the charts on defense. And I keep saying, if Miami can just have an offense and defense that are both top 20 in the same damn year, then we're cruising, you know? And what's crazy is Miami's not that far off from having a top 20 offense, you know? Their struggle is rushing offense. They're 69th. Even after this past game, they're 69th in my son's favorite number. I have no idea why. In rushing offense in the country. Okay. And you could edit that. You could edit that out. But it's not a joke. It's true. It's true. I'm not making that up. I'm not saying which son, because I don't want them getting in trouble.
He's a ladies' man, huh?
But why can't Miami have that where they're top 20 in both in the same season? Like last year, the offense was great. The defense was terrible. This year, the defense is off the charts great. And the offense is like, okay, like good, but not great. And you got to be great in both to make sure you're in that top 12, well, top 10, right? Because 2 teams below Miami will be getting in, unfortunately, just based on the system. And the system needs to be changed, by the way, but that can be another show. I mean, the system's just atrocious.
Well, your son can't change that you're his father, and you just threw him out. I'm not going to say under the bus.
I didn't say which son. I not. First of all, nobody watches the show, so it doesn't even matter. So word's not getting back to anybody.
Hey,
and even if somebody watches the show, they're sure as hell not watching 40 minutes of this crap. Okay, so it doesn't even matter. I can say whatever I want. I can even talk about politics right now. People would be like, "Oh, I didn't know he talked about politics. I didn't know he was a leftist or a rightist or whatever. I don't know, far left, far right. I didn't know that. I don't watch those shows."
Tomorrow night is a big time for this college football playoff committee, in my opinion. They're not going to be able to fix their mistakes and change things significantly the last week or two of the rankings. Okay. If they made a mistake, and listen, when you lose to 2 games like Miami did, and you're as good a team as Miami is, it's like you only have yourself to blame. You're left sitting here like being a beggar or whatever at the end of the year and all that. Not too different than last year when they lost. I mean, that Syracuse loss was horrendous. Okay, and they got left out at the end, and they earned it. Like, they were wrong for putting a 3-loss team in there. Never should have done that. But you just lose your argument when you just don't have that kind of margin of error. But all that said, doesn't stop us from saying what's right. And I think they have an opportunity tomorrow night. I'm not saying they're going to take it, but anybody that watched Miami on Saturday saw a very impressive looking football team. Okay. They were exciting. They were good. The defense was suffocating. The quarterback was in rhythm and spot on with all his throws. Didn't make any mistakes. They weren't committing stupid penalties. They looked like a really solid, good football team in that game on Saturday. Okay. So if any of these people were paying attention, and that's what they're supposed to do, which is why they're on the committee, they have an opportunity to elevate Miami on Tuesday night ahead of Alabama and ahead of Notre Dame. Now, they're not going to do it certainly with Notre Dame, because Notre Dame's winning and they've already got them up there in the 8 spot or whatever. They're going to probably have to leave them there. Okay. But they can put Miami ahead of Alabama. Okay. And they can put Miami ahead of Oklahoma too, if they want to. Okay. So, I'm going to be very interested to see if they do get the Canes up into like the top 12.
They're not even going to put the Canes ahead of Utah, Oklahoma.
They can if they want to.
They can do anything if they want.
So they're going to have to make a judgment. Did they overreact in their first ranking? Right. They're going to have to make a judgment.
Okay, so can you and I agree on this? I don't disagree. But can you agree? Can you agree with me on this? If they don't do it in this ranking, they're not going to do it.
They're not going to do it. No, this is their opportunity.
This is it.
Now Miami may go put 50 on Virginia Tech on Saturday, and hopefully
that's
they do.
Meaningless.
And they can give them another opportunity.
That's not going to move the needle. You do know that, right?
I don't think. I think if they're going to move it,
beating Virginia Tech 70-0 is like beating Campbell 70-0. It doesn't do anything.
I think if they're going to fix it, this is their opportunity.
Yeah, this week. If they don't do it this week, they're not going to do it.
I haven't looked at Utah, but I'm going to look at them right now.
Utah's lost to two top 15 teams. They don't have a single quality win. They have a board. Right. They have a board member on the committee.
Yeah, they don't have a single quality win.
Nope.
They lost to BYU by 3. They lost to Texas Tech by 24.
Yeah, they lost to 2 top 15 teams. That's their 2 losses. Yep.
Yeah. And beyond that, they don't have a quality win.
They never should have been ahead of Miami. I'm telling you, Miami's behind them because of the 2 out of 3 losses heading into the first ranking. Yeah. I'm telling you.
But my point is that I think that the committee has a chance to correct it tomorrow night if they choose to do so.
They do. By the way, let me ask you, what do you think? I think the chance of that happening is 1%. What do you think the chance is?
I don't know what these guys. I don't know what they're.
Oh, you don't 1% on it? Okay. I've been following what they do for 2 years. You're not paying attention.
I think they're full of crap. I think they're going to try to give 6 SEC teams 6 of the 12 berths in the playoffs.
Their initial ranking is so important. This is what nobody seems to understand. The initial ranking is so important to these MFers. They refuse to ever change it because then they have to explain themselves.
Enough, Matt. If they could still.
You watch. You're not understanding how they do things. I watched last year. I know how they do it.
But we're going to find out. I think we're going to start finding out this week. I don't think this is going to change in December. Okay, if they're going to fix it,
if it's not done this week, it's not going to happen.
They have a chance to fix it this week,
right? And they won't.
Alabama lost.
You watch. These people are stubborn and ridiculous. I'm telling you, I'd be shocked. I would be shocked if Miami's anything above 14. That's just my prediction is 14.
We'll see. And like I said, you get what you deserve when you lose the games the way Miami did.
But that's a different
but that's a different subject.
Yeah.
Okay. This is about a ranking that's evolving now that they've got all screwed up. Okay.
Yeah. By the way, how about this as a rule? Like the whole system is so dumb. How about this? This is a simple rule. If you win your conference title, but there's another team in your conference that didn't play for the title that's ranked 10 or more spots ahead of you in the CFP rankings, that team goes instead of you. How about that? Because I'm thinking that team's probably a lot better than you are and should be in the playoffs. How about that as a rule? Why can't that be in there? Does that seem so crazy to do? I mean, this whole thing, it's like, not to make fun of the Mormons, but like some guy dug something up out of the earth and he says, look what I found. And like their God is on some weird planet. Not weird. I don't know. I could be Mormon. I don't know.
Stop. You could have Mormon Miami fans too. Stop insulting.
I mean, look, they have a whole religion based on
Mormons, please.
What I'm trying to say is this is like a religion.
Jesus,
what these CFP people
did
is like a religion
that's a porn star, and now you're insulting Mormons.
It's like a religion that they dug up out of the ground and just handed to everybody. Like, here's the golden tablets. We have discovered them, and this is the rule from now on. And it makes no sense. It makes no sense. Like, I'm sorry, Mormons, okay? I'm not Mormon, but my brother-in-law grew up in Salt Lake City, knows lots of Mormons. And I'm telling you, have you seen the Book of Mormon, Gary? Because people who aren't Mormon, they're like, I don't understand that religion. Like, that's just a fact. Nobody understands that religion and how it came about with Joseph Smith coming up with something that nobody could verify and like just a bunch of things that he says he found in the ground. And like, I don't know. I don't understand. It's as incomprehensible to me as that religion, what the CFP does. Like, I'm sorry to the Mormons out there that are Miami fans, but like, you know, we're battling Utah, so we may as well use a Mormon analogy, right?
Yeah. I mean, they don't have a quality win on their schedule. Okay.
Do the Mormons come after you? They're too nice, right? That's why I can mention them because they're not going to come after me. Like, you know, you can't mention the Christians, the Jews, the Muslims. You go down the list. You can't mention them. They'll come after you. You know, you'll be on a hit list for sure. You know. So yeah, the Mormons are too nice. They're going to leave me alone. You know what? Cut that part out too, just in case the Mormons aren't so nice.
All right, we have a lot of stuff on the website for you guys to check out this morning, including coverage of Miami's game against the Florida Gators last night in basketball. The first big test of the Jay Lucas era for the Canes, and man, you know, they look good in some of these games earlier this year, and this was their first opportunity to really go up against a quality team. You had the defending national champions, a team that certainly matched them in size and physicality. And they took a loss, but I don't believe it's anything to overreact to. You know, they still have plenty of time here before the ACC schedule kicks in, and these are 13 guys that have never played together before and are, you know, still learning each other's games. And there was no reason that they would be a well-oiled machine this early in the season, but it was a great opportunity to find out where they were. So, you know, we will see how this progresses now moving forward, but we got coverage on the website this morning on that game, as well as Matt's great piece on Gerard Pringle and kind of taking a look at Gerard Pringle's game and, you know, why he's having this success here late in the season. So make sure you check that out. Other stuff we have coming your way today. We have a couple opportunities to speak to Mario Cristobal. So make sure you stay glued to the website for that. We'll be talking to both coordinators this afternoon. So we'll see what's on their mind. And I imagine Shannon Dawson's going to walk into that interview room with a huge smile on his face after spending all day yesterday reviewing game tape of the masterpiece that he laid out for the fan base in the final home game at Hard Rock Stadium. It was fun. It was exciting. It was entertaining. It was unpredictable. I mean, it was everything that you want really in a college football offense, because at the end of the day, you're there to entertain your fans. And it's a hell of a lot more entertaining than Mark Fletcher up the A and B gap every single play. So I'm expecting him to have a huge smile on his face when he walks in today. But we'll have all that for you as the day goes forward. We've got lots of recruiting coverage. New rankings are coming out today. So make sure you check that out. We'll let you know where all the Miami commits and targets are standing in the latest Rivals rankings. So that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time, everybody.